questions painters ask all the time is, how do I get better jobs? And how do I get more jobs for my painting business? I also get questions like, how did you get your clients from literally like 300,000 in yearly revenue to 1 million in yearly revenue? I mean, they literally went from like 0 calls to basically booked out. And the answer is, I'm literally a magician. Call me David Blaine. I can give you 3 wishes. Need only you ask. But let's be real here, guys. I know that phrase and kind of just, getting to booked out as a painting business kind of scares a lot of painters and is kind of thrown out a lot in the painting industry, because literally, let's be honest, how many people have been burned by agencies or people, by ads, website, SEO, door to door, whatever it may be. And because most people have been burnt, all that money goes down in the drain, so that you're so scared to actually invest into actually getting proper marketing in the place and investing as much as you did the first time. It sucks. But if you kind of want to go from just, doing a few jobs here and there to actually having consistently jobs that pay you, pay your crew, and I'm talking about actually growing the business to more than 1 million in yearly revenue and, increasing the margins, increasing your job size and growing the business in general. So then the mindset that you've got to shift out of is, stop thinking like a painter and how to actually do the job and start thinking like a painting business owner. Now, this kind of applies to all industries, but when you start a business, and I'm sure you can relate, you think, okay, if I do good work, people are going to refer me. I'm going to get lots of business that way because I do good work and I do quality work. The internet has made that quite literally impossible because there is so much fake information out there, and not just fake information, there's so many people that also do good work and kind of do the same as you. It's so easy to actually copy the business that someone else is doing and kind of the same system and everything. But that's kind of the approach you don't want to take, because that's dreaming. You're living with hopium there, and that's kind of not a good place to be, because you know that the jobs coming in might, suddenly one day drop off because you don't have a system in place, a client acquisition system that's going to consistently generate revenue and jobs. And as I said, it doesn't work like that anymore. It's not 1998, and the internet has made that impossible. And so many people back in the day, you could put a Facebook ad up because most people weren't doing it, and you get so much business from that. Or you could put like an ad in the newspaper, get so much business from that. But as times change, you've got to evolve and you've got to do things differently. And let's be honest, nobody's looking in the paper for a damn painter. They're looking on Google. That's the only place that they can look. They're either just scrolling Facebook, seeing content, and then they see your content and then they reach out, or they're actively looking for you using Google. Sometimes Facebook, most of the time they're using Google to search for a painter, to search for someone trustworthy. And let's say you're not on Google. They're literally not gonna call you. Maybe you do good work, but because they don't know about you, how are they supposed to call you? Let's say you have 10 reviews. You could do the best work ever, but if you only have 10 reviews when someone who doesn't do that well of work has like 50, they're gonna pick them over you because more people have actually worked with those people. So, those things matter. And even with the advancement of AI, Google reviews are gonna matter way more than anything else, because, a ChatGPT, a service like that, if that becomes huge and actually a lot of people search on that instead of Google, then the information it pulls is also going to base it off the amount of reviews that you have and the amount of stars. So if I was in your position who started a painting business or has had a painting business for more than 5-10 years and is still at 300k in yearly revenue, this is a 4-phase approach that I would take. So the way I think of it is, in a painting business there's 4 phases that you're currently in. And phase 1 is fast cash flow. So when you're new, or maybe you have, only 300,000 in yearly revenue, you need cash flow. Because without cash flow, let's be honest, you're not going to be able to invest into marketing that's going to get you more jobs, that's going to get you more revenue and actually grow the business, because you need that cash flow. So you need quick jobs, and you need, a good amount of leads to come in so that you can, say no to some other jobs that you don't want to do that won't even give you a high profit margin. And on top of that, you don't have the luxury of kind of waiting for Google to work, or have months and months to invest into something like SEO and not get a bit of results until the end. So you not only don't have that time, but you don't have the funds to invest into something like that. You need quick returns. So my suggestion is go into Facebook ads. Now, the reason I say Facebook ads is because Facebook ads, you can put on, budget of $20 to $50, $30 is a minimum, but ideally you want to go to about 40 to 50. And if you put it into Facebook ads, it's going to constantly be put in the face of the homeowner, of your ideal target audience, every single day, whether they decide to work with you, that day, or maybe in 7 days time. If they constantly see your ad, they'll be like, hey, maybe I will try these people out, because it stops the scroll. So, people might be scrolling, watching cat videos, but if they need a painter and they see your Facebook ad and they see you on the Facebook ad, they might reach out. And the best part about it is you don't actually have to have too many reviews, and you don't have to, have all that other marketing in place, because if you have a Facebook form on there, an instant form, they can give you all of your information and then you can just call the lead. And when you do have that information, the most important thing for you to do is to call the lead as soon as possible. Speed to lead is everything. If you do not call the lead in the first 5 minutes, you'll likely not move anywhere. Because remember, they're not searching for you. You've kind of put yourself out there and then they've filled in the information. So they're not searching for you, so they're not super high intent. That's why you've got to call them instantly. And then they've got the impression that, hey, these people are professional. They answer their phones quickly, because believe it or not, most of contractors, painters don't answer their phone. I can literally pull up 5 painting businesses and I'm almost certain none of them would answer. I know painters and other contractors who get tons of jobs just from Facebook ads. Some areas it works, some areas it doesn't. But that's the beautiful thing about Facebook ads, because you can target certain areas. So this way you can actually start, getting some more cash flow, start building out the crews, and actually start building the business, because you have a bit of leeway and you're not scared to actually blow the bank account, because you have jobs coming in. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. And bringing me to that point, when a client worked with me recently, his name's Martin, owner of MGR Painting. He was at 340,000 in yearly revenue, and he literally just came out this winter, 2025, one of his worst winters, and he maxed out on all his credit cards. When he came to me, he said, I'm sick of it. I want to actually start getting more consistent jobs and growing out the brand. Now, my advice to him was, let's get you started on phase 2. Whoa. I hope you're enjoying this video. I just want to stop you right here. Just give me 10 seconds of your time. If you're a painter or remodeling business owner and you need help, maybe actually getting results from Google, Facebook, or actually get a client acquisition system in place so you can grow your business year after year, your crew size, your revenue, margins, whatever it may be. If you need book jobs and you want help, just click the link in the description, book a call with me, and maybe we can see if we're a good fit to help each other. Because I know that I will not work with any painting business owner or remodeler that I don't think will get good results. And it's a no obligation discovery call. We can actually see how we can implement a system, a marketing channel, whatever it may be, to get you where you need to go. Don't think of us as just, marketing agency or anything like that. We're your growth partner. We're here with you trying to grow the business. If you're not sure, check out my reviews on my Facebook page and you can see that we go a step and beyond, ensuring that you actually get the quality and the results that you're looking for. So if you want book jobs in your pipeline consistently, just click that link below. So the point is, when you're at 300,000 in yearly revenue or more, can even be $1 million, this is when you start fitting into phase 2. And phase 2 is all about credibility. How trustworthy do you look online? Now, going back to Martin, he had about 50 Google reviews, right? So he was quite literally at the top of a hill with a rock, and all he had to do is push a little bit more and the rock would fall. So what we did is we built him a website. What I like to call it is a branded website. The way we did this is we built a website that builds so much trust, has his Google reviews on there, is highly converting, so it helps him appear more credible online. Now, since he had a little bit of cash flow going, he could invest into something like this. And not only that, he's been around for 10 years. So you can imagine that obviously he's got the business maturity, he's had his name out there, now it's all about taking the next step, right? Because when you think about it, if someone types in, painter near me and all that stuff, they're looking for your service. So it all comes down to, can they see you? Can they actually find you? And can they trust you? So there's 2 parts to it, right? So you can, get SEO going, people can actually find you, and then you actually have to convert them. And that's kind of the hardest part. Now, that's why we went to the website first, because we obviously have to set a good foundation. Like, you apply coats, apply 1 and 2 coats. We first have to apply the first coat, which is actually getting a branded website up that builds trust, so that when we go into SEO, they land on the website, they actually convert, and all the money spent on marketing and SEO is showing, it's working. So back to the point, that's why we built him a website, to help him stand out and build that credibility, compared to his competition. I mean, if you take a look here, you can see this is just a normal painting website, and this is kind of the website that we built for him. So it's kind of levels above that. And I'm pretty sure if you were searching up a painter and you saw this website versus the one we built, which one would you pick? So if I was in phase 2, where I built up a bit of yearly revenue, or I've built up, a bit of Google reviews, and I've actually got things going, but they're just not taking off, then I'd focus on literally showing up everywhere in Google. The map pack, which is basically, you can see here when someone searches you and it shows the 3 Google My Business profiles. And then I'd also try to rank my website for SEO, so for organic rankings. And then, Google Ads, I might even get that going too. So if I invest into every single one of those things, if a painter searches for that specific service in that area, if I'm on paid ads, Google My Business profile, and organic rankings, then that's going to show them that I can be trusted because I'm ranking on top of all these things. Just a little quick tip from me to you. What I would focus on is your GMB, because it's way easier to rank your GMB than it is, SEO. SEO can take months. It's a slow building thing. One of the best ranking factors for SEO is actually time. That is why I would recommend actually, investing into the GMB, because it's something that can be ranked quicker. Just for an example, a remodeler I worked with, you can see in June, he got 0 calls. And then in July, after we did 1 month of SEO optimization, he got 16. So it's way easier to do, and you can get results way faster. And then there's obviously reviews. Now listen, I don't care if you've been painting for 30 years or 3 months, reviews are literally the painting currency for getting jobs. And I'm not even kidding, if you look at this graph right here, you can see that we're literally in a trust recession. You can see from 1985, we've literally gone down in how people can trust businesses. So we're literally in a trust recession, and without reviews, people won't trust you. And Google reviews are the most trusted reviews. You need to make it frictionless for them to leave a review, without sending them a link. So collect the review on the job site the second the job is done. Have the review up so they have to do nothing but type the review. That's so important, because sometimes you'll send a link after and they just won't fill it in. Because if we look at it this way, the difference between something like 3 reviews or 40 reviews is literally thousands of dollars. It's going to cost you thousands of dollars just from having 3 reviews instead of 40. And I'm pretty sure most painting businesses can get up to 30, because we've had constant clients, but we just haven't been collecting the Google reviews. But just because we're in a trust recession doesn't mean, no one's going to trust me, there's no point of doing anything. That means that there's opportunity. So building something like a branded website that builds so much trust is going to be completely different to what the homeowners usually see. And they're obviously going to pick you because your website stands out completely. And I have proof. I literally have proof from past clients. And if we go to organic ranking, so the free part of Google, this is actually ranking the website that I just talked about. You show up in paid ads, that's great, but those people kind of know it's ads, whereas SEO makes you look so much more legit, because they obviously know that you might be at the top of the market, because it takes time and it takes investment for you to get there. So obviously you got to do everything. You got to do backlinking, you've got to build service area pages, you got to build content for all those pages and specific locations. You got to do keywords. You got to do so much when it comes to SEO that I'd probably just outsource it, because if I'm trying to run a business and focus on finances, operations, marketing, and production, shit, that's a lot. I wouldn't be able to do it all, and marketing can get quite in depth. So I just outsource that, because I don't want to waste time and money trying to learn something that I might not even do a good job in. So I'd rather just suck it up, pay someone who knows how to do this stuff, and get it done right the first time. Because I'm pretty sure most painters would rather be doing like a $12,000 repaint than trying to learn marketing, especially at the end of their workday. And if we're on the topic of building a brand, building a brand that painters can trust. This takes us to phase 3. So obviously phase 3 is building a brand homeowners can talk about. This is where you just step out of being just a painter and start becoming the go-to brand in town, the go-to business, and becoming a painting business owner. No more of being just a painter and working in the field. You're now focusing on actually growing the business, the brand. So this is when you really should start going hard on the organic posting, the before and afters, you interacting with homeowners, getting them in on your videos, posting, job sites, all that sort of thing, insights into the industry, whatever it may be. I'd go hard on that, and I'd start building out the branding. So this could be truck branding. This could be website branding, which is hugely underrated. This could be social media branding. This could be, how people see you online. And you want to make sure that you create the branding all the same across all different, platforms, because it takes multiple different ways and touch points for a homeowner to work with you. So if you create the same amazing branding across, multiple platforms, they will literally see you as a legit business that does good work. For example, if we go into building a branded website, we can show your face on there because people like to work with people instead of a company, right? So we can show your face on there. We can show the Google reviews. We can have your colors, everything your brand represents, so that when people click on that website, it's either a first impression or it's a decision. So whether it may be, we want to make sure that we're building trust and we're making ourselves the authorities and the go-to painters for that specific area. And like I described earlier, look, this is another painting website that we built. First, some random painting website as well. If you had to pick between which painter you would go with and you looked at their website, which 90% of homeowners do, which one would you go for? Me personally, I know exactly who I'd go for. I'm not even being biased here. This website just way more legit. It has the reviews and it has everything. When you're building a brand, you have to be better or you have to be different. There's no way about it. And one of the most underrated things that I think are currently not being utilized enough in the painting industry is branded trucks. Before you wrap them, they're just vehicles, you'll give them to your painters, whatever they may be, to get to the jobs. But if you brand them, it sits in the driveway, someone drives past, they see your truck, turns eyes, and they can see your contact details, they see you painting, and they might contact you. Because obviously you stand out and you're painting someone else's house, so it's social validation. And because your truck stands out and it's not like everyone else's, it turns heads. And guys, every single person drives. So if you have your branded truck and you're in traffic, no matter where it is, people will see that truck and they will look at it, especially if it's unique. Whereas, a website, people actually have to go to it, they're interested. Whereas you get all this promotion just from simply driving to a job. It's one of the best campaigns that you can launch for the best results. And one of the best parts about it, it's not some monthly retainer or, a monthly cost or investment for marketing, whatever it may be. It's literally a one-time cost and lifetime return. You don't have to pay monthly on anything like that. That's literally the definition of smart marketing. So if you've met all the criteria in 1, 2, and 3, you've kind of done all of that, and you're taking your business to the next step, then you'd be coming to phase 4. And phase 4 is focusing on sales and systems. You've got the jobs coming in, so you've got a consistent client acquisition system. Now you need people to actually close the jobs, and you need to have the systems in place that you can actually handle a good amount of jobs and pick which jobs you don't want to do and want to do. So you can obviously get better profit margins. Now, the biggest mistake I see a lot of painters do is literally sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. And I hate to break it to you, that's not selling. That's order taking. It's like I'm literally waiting for someone to call me to ask for a pizza to be made. So in phase 4, if we're talking about sales, you want to have people who can handle all objections, and actually not just handle objections, but pre-handle the objections, take the calls instantly, and actually go out and look for people, homeowners. So that doesn't mean just cold calling. That means, building relationships with store owners. For example, your local Sherwin-Williams branch or Benjamin Moore, going to property developers or real estate agents, salesmen who actually focus on building relationships with those people so they can get referred jobs. And the best way to kind of pay the salesman to, obviously help you get more jobs is to give them a base just so they can survive if they're on a slow season, and a commission so they can actually, get more money, stay hungry, and actually actively look for more jobs. But you obviously got to make sure that you are protected. So for example, if they get like a commercial job that's really big, then you've got to lower that commission just so you don't get screwed over, basically. So it's fair on you both. And talking about sales, you're also going to need some salesperson to help you develop SOPs in the business, standard operating procedures, for example, your estimators to follow, because estimators are literally basically salesmen, right? They are salesmen. So you need to have a proper salesman who can train the estimators to not just estimate and tell them what needs to be done and all that stuff, but actually sell the job. Because if you can close the homeowner on the job site, I 100% guarantee you will literally increase your closing rate by 15% at least. And then when we're talking about systems, track everything through a CRM, set up some automations so that can save you time, tasks that are just so annoying to handle and take, valuable time out of the business. You can even get a virtual assistant to handle those systems, and also have your salesmen on the systems. They can track, how many hours they worked and what they actually did, how many jobs they bring in via, relationships, cold calling, whatever it may be, and actually selling jobs, and their closing rate. Track all those metrics so you know that they're doing a good job or not doing a good job. And then obviously, since that salesman helped you build the SOPs, when you have more salesmen, they can all follow that SOP. And because you have the data tracked, if you see one of the people are underperforming, but you have the SOPs in place and they, following that system, you can just, that it's the person, that he needs more training to be able to sell. It's not the SOP. So if you keep all those metrics tracked, help you close more jobs, basically. So the bottom line is, if you're a painting business and you need more jobs, the only answer I have for you is marketing. It's one of the best ways to get more jobs, and without it, you're kind of dead in the water, and you're probably gonna, close down the business or struggle for the next couple of years if you don't get marketing, in place. And you don't have to do it all. You can literally build a presence on Google, get those reviews, posting in local Facebook groups, and don't do it all. Focus on one system, one way to grow, one marketing channel, and you will start scaling past 1 million in yearly revenue. A lot of people say, do everything. If you do everything, you won't be good at that one thing. A jack of all trades is a master of none. So if you can just invest, the amount of money that you have just into one thing, you can get really good at it, and then you can get good results. But you got to make sure that you're not doing everything inside of the business. And if you don't want to outsource it or, pay someone to do that work, but you don't want to do it yourself either, because you may be thinking, I don't have enough time. Well, then you've decided to stay small. You won't grow. You simply won't, because you either do it yourself, you make time, or you pay someone to, do it for you, because they've already been there, they specialize in it. So the painting businesses who actually win in your market either find the time to do it or pay someone else to do it, and then they sell. They make sure that their sales system is locked in place so that they can close the jobs. Because guys, the work only comes after the sale. So if you're in phase 2, maybe even phase 3, and you kind of need help to just get out of those phases and start growing the business, maybe just click the link below, book a call with me, and let's just have a quick call, see if we can maybe sort your problem out.